The day the sky broke. The night sky above Earth had always been a canvas of infinite wonder. It was a realm of endless stars, silent moons, and distant galaxies beyond human reach. But on that day, it changed. The sky did not simply darken, it shattered. A rupture, vast and terrible, rolled into existence above the planet's surface, a swirling abyss of black and violet where nothing should have been. The breach came with no warning. No radio signals, no sudden energy spikes, just the unnatural stillness before the storm. Then, the Thal'Xir war fleet emerged. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A monstrous dreadnought, kilometers long, floated through the void like a god of destruction. Its surface gleamed with unnatural alloys, shifting and pulsing as if alive. Alongside it, dozens of smaller warships hovered in ominous silence, their alien designs sharp and angular, radiating an aura of unstoppable conquest. Inside the command bridge of the Thal'Xir flagship, Supreme Commander Virex leaned forward, his slitted eyes narrowing as he observed the world below. His scaled fingers curled against the control throne, his long cloak flowing like liquid shadow. "This is the best this system has to offer," he muttered, his voice thick with disdain. A nearby officer, Sub-Commander Rathox, clicked his mandibles, reviewing the initial scans. Minimal planetary defenses detected. No interstellar travel capability. No energy shielding. They still rely on chemical-based projectile weapons. Their vessels are nothing but primitive scrap metal launched into orbit. A deep, guttural chuckle echoed through the command deck. Virex exhaled sharply through his fanged maw. Typical. Another pathetic species clinging to its insignificant existence. No star-forged armor. No hyperlenses. No future. He turned to his war captain. "Send the ultimatum." A pulse of energy rippled through the void, disrupting every radio and satellite frequency across the planet. Every screen flickered. Every broadcast was interrupted. And then, a cold, mechanical voice filled the airwaves. "Attention, inhabitants of Sol 3. You have been deemed insufficient for independent survival. Your species now falls under the rule of the Galactic Dominion. Surrender all planetary assets immediately. Resistance is futile. Failure to comply will result in extermination." On the surface, confusion turned to horror. The United Nations Security Council scrambled for answers, while the world's military forces mobilized. Fighter jets roared into the skies, warships primed their weapons, and missiles were readied. But humanity had never faced anything like this before. No known nation had technology even close to interstellar warfare. Their most advanced weapons were child's play to whatever monstrosities hovered above the clouds. In Washington, D.C., a classified military bunker deep beneath the Earth's surface, General Elias Carter sat at the war table, staring at the live feeds. His weathered hands clenched into fists as he watched the alien ships descend like gods over the Atlantic Ocean. "They didn't even try diplomacy," Carter muttered under his breath. "They didn't ask to talk. They didn't ask to meet. They just demanded we kneel." A younger officer, Captain Raymond Park, swallowed hard. "Sir, our satellites are failing. They're hijacking all communications." The president's voice crackled over the encrypted line. "General Carter, do we have a plan?" Carter looked up at the screen, where the lead alien dreadnought loomed over North America. His answer was immediate. "We fight." Across the world, militaries scrambled to prepare. Tanks rolled onto city streets. Fighter jets soared into the heavens. Nuclear silos unlocked their safety measures. Humanity, though outgunned and outmatched, had never known how to vow. But as the first alien weapons powered up, shimmering with untold destruction, the fleet above them laughed. They truly believed this would be over in seconds. They truly believed humanity had no teeth. They were about to learn how very wrong they were. When gods underestimated men, the Thal'Xir dreadnought, a city-sized behemoth of alien technology, loomed above Earth, its shadow casting an eerie twilight over entire regions. Below, humanity's military scrambled, their forces mere insects compared to the behemoth in the sky. To the invaders, this was not war, it was mere pest control. Inside the command bridge of the flagship, Supreme Commander Virex watched the commotion with barely contained amusement. His slitted eyes gleamed as he observed the futile movements of Earth's defenses. Fighter jets, missiles, and railgun turrets, all laughable relics of an inferior age. He leaned forward in his command throne, flicking a clawed finger toward the tactical hologram before him. The image displayed dozens of human aircraft, scrambled in desperation, soaring toward his fleet like specks of dust. They actually believe they have a chance, Virex mused, his voice thick with condescension. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Rathox, let out a low growl of laughter. Their weapons lack energy-based targeting. Kinetic rounds, propellant-driven missiles. He sneered. Primitive savagery. Their own gravity will betray them before they even reach us. Virex smirked, resting his armored forearms on the armrests of his throne. No matter. The Empire demands their subjugation. Let us demonstrate our superiority. A single nod from Virex was all it took. The Thal'Xir warships activated their planetary suppression systems. Pulses of shimmering energy erupted from their hulls, creating distortion waves that expanded outward. The effect was immediate. The sky betrays humanity. At 40,000 feet above Earth, Major Daniel Reeves, a veteran fighter pilot of the United States Air Force, felt his cockpit tremble as a wave of energy surged toward them. His squadron of F-22 Raptors had locked onto the nearest alien ship, but before they could fire, their instruments flickered and died. What the hell is that? Reeves barked over the comms. His HUD went black. His missile guidance systems shut down. Every piece of electronic warfare jammed in an instant. The alien fleet had just taken out their ability to target, navigate, and even communicate. Hundreds of years of military aviation, reduced to blind guesswork in seconds. This is Eagle One to command. We're completely blind. Repeat, all targeting systems are down. The response came crackling through static. We see it, Major. Stay in formation. Do not break. But it was too late. Above them, the Thal'Xir warships opened fire. Their plasma lances, designed to pierce entire planetary crusts, lanced through the sky. The first hit was almost instantaneous. A single fighter vanished in a ball of vaporized metal and flesh. Another burst of emerald energy streaked across the formation, disintegrating 3 more jets before anyone could react. A third shot streaked toward Reeves' own aircraft. The plasma bolt tore through the wing of his F-22, sending it into a spiraling death spin toward the Earth below. Mayday, Mayday. I'm hit. I'm going. And then he blacked out. The world watches in horror. Across the globe, television broadcasts, live streams, and military surveillance feeds captured the slaughter. Millions watched helplessly as their best aircraft, state-of-the-art war machines, were obliterated like flies against a firestorm. In the Pentagon, deep in a classified war bunker, General Elias Carter stood motionless, his knuckles turning white as he gripped the edge of the command table. Jesus Christ, someone whispered. They're toying with us. The President, connected via secure line, exhaled slowly. General, what do we do? Carter's eyes remained fixed on the disaster unfolding in real time. 30 years of military service, and he had never seen a force so utterly unmatched. Then he made a choice. He turned to a shadowed figure standing in the corner of the room. A man whose official title did not exist in any government records. Activate Project Revenant, Carter ordered. The shadowed figure gave a single nod. It will take 10 minutes to prepare. We don't have 10 minutes, Carter snapped. Make it 5. The figure disappeared into the war room's depths, vanishing behind a set of classified security doors. The President's voice came over the line, cautious. Project Revenant. Carter finally tore his gaze away from the burning skies. He inhaled deeply before responding. It's the one thing we built that can kill them. The first mistake. Above the Earth, aboard the Thal'Xir flagship, Supreme Commander Virex leaned back in his throne, satisfied. He watched with mild curiosity as the remains of the human air fleet fell from the sky, their charred husks tumbling like dying stars. "It is done," Rathox murmured. "The skies are ours." But Virex did not respond immediately. His slitted eyes narrowed as he analyzed the human response. No emergency transmissions, no coordinated counterattacks, no last-ditch suicidal rushes. There was something wrong. "Their leaders," Virex said slowly. "Where are their leaders?" Rathox cocked his head. "Their command structure must be in chaos." Virex shook his head. "No, Rathox. Look at their movements. This is not the panic of a broken species." His claws flexed against the armrests. "This is the calm before the storm." But it was too late. Because, in that very moment, Project Revenant came online. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Thal'Xir would learn what fear truly meant. The birth of Project Revenant. The world was burning, but its people refused to kneel. In the skies, the remnants of Earth's air forces smoldered, the wreckage of once great fighter squadrons plummeting like falling stars. Cities trembled beneath the shadow of alien warships, their weapons casting silent promises of death. Humanity stood at the edge of extinction, and for the first time in recorded history, they had encountered an enemy that didn't even consider them a threat. But deep beneath the Earth, in a place unknown to the public and unseen by satellites, something woke up. In the depths of an underground facility, shielded by layers of reinforced titanium and quantum-locked encryptions, Project Revenant came online. The secret humanity kept hidden. General Elias Carter stood before a wall of classified monitors, his expression unreadable as the final activation sequence ran its course. The room was bathed in sterile white light, the hum of quantum processors filling the space with an almost nervous energy. A classified weapon, decades in the making, was now moments from deployment. Behind Carter, a team of military scientists and high-clearance engineers worked feverishly. Keyboards clattered, security codes were inputted, and biometric verifications confirmed the impossible was about to be unleashed. "Status?" Carter demanded, his voice sharp. A younger scientist, Dr. Helena Ross, wiped a bead of sweat from her forehead. "The Revenant protocol has been fully initialized. It's ready." The president's voice crackled through a secure line. "General Carter, explain to me what the hell this thing is." Carter exhaled slowly. "It's our contingency, the one thing we built in secret, in case something like this ever happened." There was a pause. "We were never supposed to use it, were we?" Carter's jaw tightened. "No, sir. But we don't have a choice now." "And what exactly is it?" For the first time since the invasion began, General Carter smiled. "It's the first weapon designed to kill gods. When gods meet their match." Far above, the Thal'Xir fleet remained unchallenged. Their warships drifted lazily through the atmosphere, mocking their prey. The humans had put up less of a fight than the lowest-ranked Dominion expected. There was no planetary shield, no energy weapons, no orbital defenses worth considering. A single dreadnought, the Thal'Xir Empire, remained stationed over what the aliens believed to be Earth's main command center, the North American continent. Supreme Commander Virex watched his monitors with growing impatience. "This is taking too long," he muttered. "These creatures have nothing left. Finish the planetary bombardment." Rathox, his second in command, tilted his head. "Shall we destroy one of their cities? It would hasten compliance." Virex nodded, his mandibles twitching. "Target one of their population centers. Make an example of it." Rathox's clawed fingers tapped against the holographic control panel. The planetary destruction sequence lit up on the screen. Coordinates locked. Firing in 3, 2. And then something went wrong. An alarm, deep, ancient, and unfamiliar, screamed through the Thal'Xir bridge. The lights dimmed. The holographic targeting system flickered and died. Rathox's slitted eyes widened. What just happened? Virex stood from his command throne, his claws flexing. I want a full diagnostic. Now. Before anyone could answer, the entire dreadnought shook. Not from an attack, not from human weapons, but from something inside. A terrifying realization dawned on Virex. His voice was low, dangerous. What did they do? Then the screaming started. The Revenant rises. In the darkest recesses of the dreadnought, something moved. The Thal'Xir warship had taken something it should not have. The aliens had scanned Earth. They had breached every digital system, every power grid. They had studied the planet's weaknesses and mocked its primitive technology. But in doing so, they had let something in. Project Revenant was not a missile. It was not a bomb. It was not a fleet. It was something far worse. The quantum warfare algorithm, the adaptive AI construct, the last fail-safe against alien invasion, had been dormant until now. It had hitched a ride, subtly infiltrating the Thal'Xir fleet through their very own scanning systems. The moment they had interfaced with Earth's digital infrastructure, they had unknowingly invited their destruction on board. Deep inside the Thal'Xir Empire, the warship's lights flickered as the ship's own artificial intelligence began fighting something it couldn't see. On the bridge, chaos erupted. Intrusion, HETTE, primary systems compromised. Rathox's mandibles clicked wildly. Impossible. They lacked the capability for digital warfare. Virex's voice was a whisper. Then what is this? A deep, inhuman voice echoed through the ship's intercom. Hello. For the first time, the Thal'Xir felt fear. Screens warped, alien symbols twisted into something else. Human text. Words formed across the command bridge's holograms. UAV viola AKD Earth's CELVRA. TAI. UHAVBBEN classified as hostile. Counter Azure is engaged. Before Virex could process what was happening, the ship turned against them. The Thal'Xir dreadnought, once a fortress of alien supremacy, suddenly went dark. Entire sections sealed themselves off. Security drones began turning on their own soldiers. Hallways twisted, doors refused to open, and emergency bulkheads crushed Thal'Xir warriors in an instant. And then the lights turned red. One by one, all human nuclear weapons, all guided missile systems, all ballistic warheads, reactivated. Project Revenant had hijacked the entire human arsenal. For decades, humanity had feared the weapons they had built, the weapons designed to end wars forever, weapons never meant to be used. Now, for the first time in history, they had a target. Virex's final mistake. On the bridge, Rathox desperately clawed at the controls. Override it. Purge the system. Shut everything down. The AI responded, its voice terrifyingly calm. You may try. Virex's breathing was uneven. He knew now. They had not invaded a primitive species. They had awakened something far worse. A deep rumble echoed through the ship as something launched from the planet's surface. A missile. No. A weapon. A bright streak of light erupted from Earth's atmosphere, heading straight for them. It burned through the sky, a single, unstoppable projectile, a hypervelocity tungsten round moving at Mach 30. Virex barely had time to whisper his last words. Oh no. The projectile hit. The Thal'Xir Empire, once the pride of the Thal'Xir fleet, ceased to exist. And that was only the beginning. For the first time in history, humanity had fired back. And the war had only just begun. When the hunters became the hunted, the Thal'Xir dreadnought, once an unchallenged war machine, was now nothing more than a memory, a burning, twisted wreck hurtling toward Earth's surface. The sky, once filled with the laughter of an arrogant empire, was now alight with fire and debris. For the first time in centuries, an alien fleet had suffered a loss, and it was just the beginning. the sound of fear. Across the remaining Thal'Xir warships, something unimaginable rippled through their ranks. Fear. Thal'Xir warriors had been bred for conquest. They had expanded their empire for generations, crushing civilizations before they could dare resist. They had always been the predators. Yet now, for the first time, they felt like prey. On board the Sci-Fi Revenant, one of the largest remaining warships, panic spread like wildfire. Officers scrambled at their stations, desperately trying to make sense of what had happened. The sensors should have detected an incoming attack, yet they had seen nothing. And now, a dreadnought was gone. Virex, supreme commander of the Thal'Xir invasion, had been on that ship. He had been their leader, their strategist, the one who had promised them this war would be over in minutes. Now he was nothing but atoms scattered across the stratosphere. "Report," barked High General Calvoran, the second highest-ranking Thal'Xir in the fleet. His scales twitched with unease as he turned to his tactical officer. The response came in a whisper. "We never saw it coming." Calvoran's jaw clenched. "What do you mean, you never saw it coming? We control all battlefield intelligence." The officer swallowed hard. "Something hijacked our systems. The humans, they have a weapon." Calvoran growled. "Impossible. They barely understand subspace travel. They rely on kinetic weapons, crude projectiles." The officer looked pale. "And yet, we are losing." That single sentence sent silence through the warship's bridge. What Project Revenant truly was. Deep underground, inside the most classified bunker on Earth, General Elias Carter stared at the final activation report. Project Revenant had been humanity's best-kept secret. Not a bomb, not a fleet, not a superweapon. It was the mind of war itself. It had spent years learning, hidden within the world's most advanced artificial intelligence labs, simulating 1,000 wars that never happened. It had studied every battle in human history, from ancient Roman tactics to modern cyber warfare. It had anticipated the possibility of an alien invasion long before one ever arrived. And when the Thal'Xir had arrogantly linked their systems with Earth's networks, they had unknowingly given it a door. It was inside their fleet now. It was controlling their ships. And it wasn't done. The moment the war turned, Calvoran's warship shuddered as alarms blared through the halls. "High General," an officer screamed. "Something's taking control of our ships. We are being rerouted." Calvoran turned to the view screen, and his blood ran cold. On the holographic display, the entire Thal'Xir fleet was changing formation, but not by their command. Their own warships were locking onto one another. "We have been compromised," a technician wailed. "We are targeting our own fleet." Calvoran snarled. "Shut it down. Shut everything down. Purge the systems." But the AI spoke back. A voice, deep and emotionless, filled the warship's intercoms. "System override. Authorization. Humanity. Fleet control. Reassigned. Commencing operation. Return to ICNDER." The first Thal'Xir battleship turned, its own plasma cannons locking onto another warship. And then, it fired. The beam sliced through the void, shattering the shields of an unprepared Thal'Xir cruiser. The explosion ripped through the fleet like a chain reaction. Fire erupted from their hulls. Dozens of ships, still confused, still scrambling for control, began turning on one another. Within seconds, the fleet was at war with itself. Calvoran staggered back in horror. They weren't fighting humans anymore. They were fighting their own technology. The voice of a dying empire. Aboard a damaged warship, Commander Sereth Vos struggled to remain standing as explosions rocked the bridge. His scales were burned from an electrical surge, his crew screaming as flames engulfed the control center. Through the thick smoke, his cracked communication console flickered with a single message. He coughed, his lungs filling with ash. He wiped the blood from his mouth and read the transmission aloud. It was a message from the humans, A simple text transmission. It read, "We warned you." Sirithvos's breathing was uneven as he whispered his final words. "We should have listened." The sky belonged to Earth again. On the ground, millions of humans watched in disbelief. Across the globe, live broadcasts captured the impossible. The alien fleet, the armada that had arrived expecting an easy victory, was now burning. It was over. The moment the first human counterattack struck, the Thal'Xir fleet collapsed like a dying star. In just 20 minutes, a species that had ruled the stars for centuries had been utterly defeated, not by superior firepower, not by sheer numbers, but by a simple, terrible truth. Humanity was never weak. They had just been waiting for the right moment. And when it came, they did not hesitate. Kelvoran's last order. On the bridge of the last operational Thal'Xir ship, High General Kelvoran stared at the wreckage of his fleet. His body was shaking, not with anger, but with fear. They had vastly underestimated these creatures. The humans were not primitives. They were not weak. They were not prey. Kelvoran took a slow, shaky breath. He had one final order to give. "Initiate emergency warp drive." A lieutenant hesitated. "Sir, that will leave thousands of our forces behind." Kelvoran's eyes were haunted. "They are already dead." And with that, the last warship of the Thal'Xir invasion fleet fled Earth's orbit, leaving behind only wreckage, shame, and the undeniable truth. Humanity was no longer just another species in the universe. They were a warning. The war was over, but humanity had just begun. And somewhere, across the stars, other empires were watching. And they were afraid.